Hello, everyone. Welcome to FMA Discussion. This night we have episode 42, and we are featuring guest John Bednarski of Dekiti Tirsia. Actually, no, I shouldn't say Dekiti Tirsia, should I?
I just say the Tortal family system at this point.
Okay. I want to just make sure I'm being politically correct here, but nevertheless, under Nene Tortal. So, those of you who are going to be checking in, if you don't mind, please say where you're from, hello, and then secondly, please don't hit like and subscribe to the FMA YouTube channel, FMA Discussion. Hello, sir. How are you?
Well, I'm doing very well. Glad to be here. I'm very excited. I think this is going to be a really fun show, I think.
I think so too, based on our little talk as far as the test run goes. Yes, I don't want to say fireworks, but I'm going to say the Twizzlers, whatever you like those.
Yes, I would say sparklers as well, but
Right.
in many ways, FMA is a loaded term, and the history is loaded, and it is what it is.
Yeah, certainly. So, hey, I always try to touch base with people in different parts of the country, just more out of curiosity. So, what's the situation for gyms, martial arts schools, in lieu of the COVID situation with you guys in Illinois?
Well, they are reopening, but with social distancing at this point in time.
Okay.
Which, you have to understand, the martial arts is usually a physical contact type of thing, so you can only imagine how that's going to work out. I really feel sorry for like the MMA gyms and the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, some of them are going under. Yeah.
It's intriguing.
Especially if we get, or what's going on in Texas, Florida, some of these other states, if it's, whether it's who knows, whether it's retesting or the beginning of the second phase or the first phase continuation, however you want to describe it, but that continues and they go back to some of those bands. Oh boy. That's really gonna rock that community hard. The ones that just start opening again and just kind of getting their wheels turning again,
Oh yeah.
So I really have a lot of empathy for that industry, just because a lot of their money came out of their own pocket. They literally built it up over the years, and here
a lot of mom and pop shops are going under.
Yeah, and those too, and so I really feel for that industry, and I just hope things change and don't go backwards. But enough of that. Again, so what I always like to do is, just before we jump into, as we were saying, the minor fireworks.
I am opinionated. Yes, why not?
What was your before you jumped to FMA? What was your discipline before FMA?
Actually, I was learning kung fu in a park district when I was a kid. That was my first martial art, my first real martial art per se. And believe it or not, it was actually Lama Pai. So you have a very weird long fist system. So complete opposite to FMA in that regard.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's obviously kung fu, of course, but definitely never heard that one. So but like many of us in this generation, the generation we came from, we all kind of started out with some form of traditional. Did you stay there a while, or was it just a kind of a visit?
It was. I stayed with that for about 4 years at the park district,
And then what followed?
What followed later on was because of the Bruce Lee connection with Dan Inosanto, I decided, hey, I'm going to check out a Dan Inosanto seminar and see what this, Jeet Kune Do stuff is, or not is, or what it is. I'm going to jump into this, and that's when I was first actually exposed to FMA. It was through a Dan Inosanto seminar, and I was really fascinated by it. And from there, I trained with Remy Precis and his brother Ernesto Precis, and then in 2000, I met Nene Tortal and began training with him.
All right, so just for the viewers, because I definitely want to get into when you started with Nene and all that.
Sure.
How long, what age were you about when you first seen FMA via through the lens of the Inosanto blend? What age were you?
I was 20 years of age when I.
Oh, okay. So you were. Oh my God. So you're on. So this is going back some years. Okay. Okay.
A long time ago.
Yeah. So was this? And if I recall correctly, it was a seminar. You said.
Yes, it was a seminar.
So did you pursue him afterward, or just more intrigued?
I was intrigued, and I said I have to see more of this because of several things. One was, as we all know, when Guro Dan teaches a seminar, it can be quite daunting to actually try to pick up on technique because of the rapid fire nature at that time period of how he was teaching. Yeah, every new technique every minute. And then another extrapolation and another thing, and I said, "Man, I gotta figure this out. There's no way in the world I'm going to be in the dark on this." So several seminars later, but there was a disconnect in the sense of I wasn't getting any of the basics per se. So,
yeah, I know. I mean, with the seminar stuff, yeah. Mm-hmm. Did you go out? So did you just kind of follow seminar format, or did you actually go out to see him as well?
No, I never made it out to see him, but I did follow him in seminar format.
Okay.
Then I was friends with a local taekwondo school owner, and he brought out Remy Paresis to teach modern arnis.
Okay.
And ended up training with Remy Paresis for several years as well.
Okay. All right. And this is so is this circa 80s?
This is actually circa now late 80s, early 90s.
Early 90s, as far as Remy is concerned, and all that. And
92, 93, I met his brother Ernesto.
Okay. And how long did you stay with those guys?
For Remy, it was, I would say, about 4 years, and with Ernesto, it was about the same.
Oh, so you got about 8 years total. So you obviously got a good chunk of understanding of the system then. Okay.
Yeah, I have a second degree black belt in Combate Nan, so yeah, I have.
Yeah. So needless to say, right? Okay. And then you mentioned, so what year? I guess the year, and how did you meet Master Nene?
So Nene in the year 2000 or so, through, actually, believe it or not, through Greg Alland. Greg Alland was bringing Nene to the States, and I said, sure, I'll host Nene for a seminar and train with Nene. And that is the first time I met. Yeah, that was the first time I began training with and met Nene in that regard.
Okay.
And then every year after that, I brought him in for seminars, had camps, continued to train with him, etc. in that regard. So Greg at that time was doing what he called Kali Silat, which would be an apropos description of what he was doing, I guess you could say. And then, Nene.
In terms of Greg? I'm sorry. In terms of Greg?
Yes, he was actually traveling with Nene at that time period. And it was the one who actually brought Nene to the States and was kind of pushing Nene at that time period. Because he had falling out with Leo, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So,
it's funny. I do remember that because circa 2002 or so, he brought Nene to Connecticut. I just remember that. And it was definitely, or actually, very late 90s or very, very early 2000s. And I remember he was bringing him around. Matter of fact, I want to say it was New Haven. But I just remember that when you said that, he was kind of, bringing him through the, yeah, okay.
Now, this was Nene many, many years. Nene was he was incredible. He was a machine. He was physically imposing and an incredibly skilled escrimador.
Yeah.
And I was like, darn, this is the real deal.
So, which actually leads to my next question.
Sure.
I mean, I know you mentioned, when you saw the stuff at the end of Seminar Land, you had to get more of this. What light went off, so to speak, when you saw Nene's material that, hey, this is the guy now I want to pursue? I mean, what was it? Or what things were it?
One of the things that really I found intriguing was Nene was into full-on power. there was no tippy tappy anything. This was an Alongo system of Eskrima. It's raw firepower. So the objective was to not be where he was swinging or to be out of the way. The emphasis wasn't on mid-range or blocking. It was on either entering or getting out of the way of the incoming threat. And I was like, okay, this is very interesting, because I thought, everything was blocking. I could put up a block and I could block it. But the reality is, if somebody's coming in with a very, very hard blow at Largo Mono range, you either have to disrupt it or get around it or do something else. If not, you're just going to eat it and the block at the same time. So I was like, okay, this is different. That's
interesting. You mentioned that, and I totally agree with you, because it's the statement I'm going to make is within the Dekiti Tirsia lines, but it's like one of the things that Eric Naus, wanted to test and brought up when kind of being in the beginning of the Dog Buzz was, can you handle an extreme power shot? Can you block an extreme power shot, knowing that check in hand is not going to be there unless you're inside the gate and all that? But it kind of complements what you're saying. Like, you better know how to negotiate, like somebody just, you know what I mean?
Someone trying to hit you with a very heavy weapon with some very, very heavy intent, which is what Nene does.
Yeah, so agreed. So that
the first time I met him, he said this. He pulled me aside. Listen. He goes, I think everybody has forgotten that the stick is for hitting the other person and not the other stick.
Yeah. Depending on how deep you want to go into that.
But he had a lot of firepower. He still does, I might add. But it was of the classical Alongo line of Eskrima. It was this strike's coming, and if you aren't sure what to do, you're probably going to eat it.
Yeah, so I think it goes without saying that, obviously, with that you mentioning that, he obviously stressed intent.
Yes, intent was in feeding and in doing, and the objective was to train like you fight like you train. His system is very workman orientated in that regard. It's to actually develop skill set.
Actually, I have a video I found it's going to actually really nicely parallel what you just mentioned. If you don't mind, I'm going to bring it up.
Go right ahead.
But it exactly mentions what you just said. And here it is. And hopefully the tech gods will be with us. And right in this video, the reason why I chose this video is because I firmly believe what you just said. Like, if you're not drilling with intent when you're practicing drilling, whatever you want to call it, with your partners or what have you, or attribute development, whatever. If there's not intent there, and you go out there and somebody just takes your whole world's going to fall apart. If you've never seen like that energy coming at you,
you're going to fold real quick. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm with you, and I think this video you mentioned that here, so I'm going to play this. I like that.
What's my YouTube channel, by the way, everybody? Subscribe to Blade Files if you get a chance, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, at the end, I'll definitely mention all your 100%.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll go through that. But this, again, this really all of your vid.
Pattern for range from same up-down pattern for range same. The problem is nobody's really trying to head. I have to get out of the way. What is trying to strike in his head? I have to get under the God in my blocking jam, because I can't just stand there and hope to God that my blocking usually happen. This type of block usually happens. And these blocks usually happen. This type of block usually happens. If he steps back as I strike him, I miss him and he makes his attack. As I'm offensing him. If he steps back as I strike him, step back, and he makes his attack. That's why this comes in like that. But you see how I'm moving? I'm like,
but in the beginning, the reason I wanted to show that is because in the beginning, you basically stress intent. Like, you know what I mean? So can you go into a little detail just on for the viewers the importance of that?
Okay, if I'm feeding you and striking, if I'm not actually going to hit you when I'm feeding you, there's no point in me doing technique. So one time in a seminar, and I'll tell this story without explaining who or what or why or when or where, but one of the people that we were teaching a seminar with, this joint seminar, they came from another style of Eskrima, and I said, you know, strike at me. And they struck, and I didn't move, and he missed me, and he said, well, why didn't you do your technique? And I said, because you would never have hit me. There was no need for me to do technique. You actually, so what I did the next time this person fed me, I actually had to step in to get the range properly where they would have actually hit me to actually pull off the technique. And they were a little dumbfounded by that, actually.
Yeah, you know, that's What do you? Here's the thing, and I've seen this before, and I actually just I know what you're talking about, and like you said, regardless of the who, where, from, and what have you. But is it? Here's my question, and this is a conversation I've had.
Let me interject a little bit here. So certain Eskrima styles, okay, fight in certain ranges, depending on where they're from, what region in the Philippines. So let's say you're doing maybe, and this is a generic statement. So like, say you're doing Cebuano Eskrima. They will fight in a very specialized range in mid-range because they agree to fight in that range. It's by convention. You don't just end up there like miraculously in a fight. No. This is like we're men. Yeah. We are agreeing to duel in this range. When it comes to, say, in Negros, there is no ranges. You start out far away swearing at each other, and now you have to enter. You have to engage in a fight.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not just going to walk into your weapon range because it seems like a good idea or something. No, it's a lot of what we know as Eskrima in the United States is based off of starting in that mid-range that sometimes doesn't happen.
So I guess my question would be, and this kind of is going to lead into what I was going to bring up. I have the belief that from the student perspective, they know what they know. They don't know what they know. So in other words, if that's never been demonstrated, or that's never been pointed out, or that's never been shown to them, well, you just verbally illustrated how you corrected the student. Is it their fault? And my argument is no.
No.
Because if that's what they were told and shown, how can you hold them accountable? Like, you know, but I think it's prevalent out there, you know.
Oh, yeah. Well, I asked Nene this question. So, okay, so how do I know if I did it right or not, you know, in a fight? How would I know if I did it right? And he said, did you win? And I would say, well, I hope I would. He goes, then you did it right.
Yeah.
If you
did you get hit? No. Good. Did you get hit? Yes. Bad.
If you lost, I didn't teach you that.
Yeah.
That would be the best way to describe it. And students, okay, for the most part, okay, in Eskrima, this is for everybody out there. You live or die by what you do in it, and how you train and what you do. It doesn't matter about what people did in the past. It doesn't matter whom the sacred forefathers were and what miraculous secret powers they had or any of that. That doesn't matter. It's you get out of it what you put into it. You have to train very hard, and then you will develop a real skill. And that's what it is.
Yeah.
Today.
No, you certainly can't argue that. Oh, what's what? Okay. I got that inquiry, but that's fine. We covered that. Just, you know, this has come up before, and again, we don't need to get like and all that, but just the history. I guess taking it from the perspective of the Nene's, his family system. Can you just give us a little insight on the history of his system?
Well, the family history is, you know, I will leave that up to them to explain in that regard. But it's a classical. His family is obviously from Negros. They're Olongo, which is a, you know, sub-linguistic tribal group within the Philippines. And Characteristically, Alongo styles use a weight-forward heavy sword blade, a heavy stick, a large knife, and a large stick per se in their catalog of weapons. Okay, it's the farthest back anybody can research is obviously the late 19th century, like 1880s, for actual systemization, formalization. And in many ways, there is a mixture, for lack of a better term, between what I would say would be Spanish methodology of fencing, along with classical Alongo martial arts. So you'll have like elements that will look like, let's say, Tapado, or elements that will look like Guido de Cubrada or other Alongo systems in that regard, and methods, along with Visayan rhythms for movement and things of that nature.
Okay. Okay. So far, I mean, I'm just wondering how I can put this again without opening up a can of worms, but so I'll try to be gentle.
Sure. I'm opinionated. I'll tell my opinion and let the chips fall where they may. So they can blame me.
Okay, obviously anybody in martial arts, or I should say more specifically, anybody in FMA world knows that there's a split between Gaihei and Nene. Without getting to the whys and all that, but my interest is, and from your lens, what are some of the differences modern day that you see between the two? If somebody wanted, like, in other words, if a new student was like, oh man, do I go to join Nene, or should I go the Gaihei route, or like, what would be a good answer to help them, like, I guess, as far as the differences are concerned?
I would say that Nene is more orientated towards single weapon usage and orientated primarily towards the swordsmanship aspect of the family system.
Okay.
Ginunfing, Talabong, heavy stick. He doesn't do a lot of, I mean, he does do knife work, big knife, but he doesn't do a lot of small knife work like Leo does. That's not his specialization per se. So I think that's a politically correct answer.
Okay.
That Nene is definitely a swordsman par excellence, in my opinion.
Okay, so could this be said without getting political that maybe because of Gaihei coming to the States, his interpretation took more of a stick route because of the people that maybe he encountered first? And I'm not even saying this is correct. I'm just
yeah. Well, I've never met Leo or trained with any of his people, so I can't give like a firsthand opinion. I can only tell you what I've seen on video or what have you. But from what I've seen, I would say that Leo in the New York era was definitely more stick orientated and not
that's what I think. Yeah.
Not sword orientated. And I also think he was very orientated at mid range too, which is okay. Maybe because it was easier to teach students like that because of space or something. I don't know why that would be.
Yeah, like I don't either. I definitely put a lot of study into the late 70s group. I was just fascinated. Greg Land, Bill McGrath, Altienza's father, the Sayaks, of course. I just thought it was really.
And now, to be politically incorrect, Leo had a lot of other influence put into the mix, shall we say? And that's just to give it a different type of flavor. These things happen.
Yeah, but I think I'm tending to lean with you is that based on what I've seen, and by no stretch of imagination, I'm not saying they didn't do edge weapon work, but it seemed like the stick was definitely stressed, and I also think that because if you look at the early Dog brothers, they were Dekiti guys under Leo, Sled Dog, Eric, Mark Denny, so. Tom Bizio, I mean, he wasn't a Dog brother, but it just seems like there was a lot, it seemed like stick was. I don't know. Yeah, obviously we don't know for sure, but I think kind of draw your own conclusion, like you said, based on what you've seen and all that. I'm just going to give a quick hello to some people that are watching. Brian, hey Brian, thank you for jumping in. Jamie, thanks Jamie from Texas. Paul, thank you, and Julius. Let's see here. Julius has a question. Julius, do you remember that near? I hope I don't do an abomination on pronunciation here. The Recodiga during the 70s and 80s era. I can spell it. I probably. Is that? Have you heard that before?
No.
So basically, Nereodica.
Yeah, no, I've never heard of that.
Okay, Julius, if you could just give us a little more information. I'd like to see if we can find out what you're referencing. So yeah, don't give up. But that's thank you for answering that, because I draw the same. I kind of drew the same conclusion as you. Is that it seemed I'm more on a stick, but as far as the weapons, the swords of choice, the Talabong and the Ganuting, as far as swords,
yeah.
Correct?
Yes, they are.
One of the others. It seems like Guy Hayes, the Ganuting. I'm not saying he doesn't do the Talabong well. Did Nene have a favorite, or they kind of both the same?
Well, Nene will use both in that regard, because they have, and the Ganuting is it's a meat cleaver. Let's be honest in what it is and how it's used. It's not particularly a good thrusting weapon, but because of the false back edge on it, you can do back cuts, you can do gaffing, things of that nature.
Back day.
Yep.
Yeah.
With the Talabong, you have a very large point on it, and you can do a very heavy escotada type thrust or sungi with that type of blade. So Nene will prefer that for heavy escotada, which escotada is like Spanish for stoccata in Italian. It means a thrust coming straight in and straight out, and that will be something he will use for that purpose. Along with, he'll still wait forward, so you can still do heavy cuts, you can still do heavy flexions. But for thrusting, that is his preferred blade in that regard.
Yeah, I'm just, it's nothing against Dekiti Tirsia, regardless of what sanction you're under or who or that, but just was never a Ganuting fan. I mean, I know you got the back 4 inches and all that, but I don't know. I just, but I know some people like it. It's official blade.
Well, the Ganuting has a very. The Ganuting has a very particular way of using it, and that's probably why. It's if you don't know it, then you'll either be using it like a stick or you'll be using it like something else.
Yeah, I got a lot of it from Ron. It's just using the back's fine for it. I mean, it just. I just prefer the Panetti. I don't know. And it could be maybe. I'll be honest. Maybe there was some slight bias as far as I go. You know what I mean? Maybe I didn't explore.
And but the problem is a lot of I don't know exactly what people are doing out there with the Ganuting, and also how do I put this? There's the actual Espada type Ganuting for fighting from like Negros. And then there's the smaller bolo size Ganuting that's more northern influenced as a blade that's used by the Marine Recon and which it has a slightly different mechanic to it or slightly different line to it than the actual dueling Espada from Negros. So that could be a problem. I mean, there's a lot to unpack there per se, without being politically incorrect. And a lot of people, I don't know if they. And the reality also about a blade. The other reality about a blade is you actually have to cut with it. You can't just swing it around in the air or do drills with it. So you have to cut water bottles. You have to cut mat. You have to develop that type of cutting skill, and that's the way you should actually learn how to use a sword blade, per se, instead of just doing abecedario, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. So yeah, I know, Julius. I did Abomination.
Oops.
He's got a question here. He gave a little more info. Okay. Oh my gosh, this is an actual person. Okay, yeah. I totally misunderstood. He's the second man on this video. Okay, I'm gonna have to. You know what? I'm gonna definitely send this to Guro John, and he can see if he remembers this gentleman. Yeah, apologies on the Abomination. So when you mentioned recon, what's that?
Okay, please continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so when you mentioned recon and like far as the northern part, they're using a different Ganuting per se. Is that the Marines you referring to, like the Guy Hayes involvement with them?
Yeah. Yes. So their blade is somewhat smaller than the actual dueling, and it's got a slightly different sweep to it, and it has a slightly more northern blade influence to it than, let's say, a Visayan blade influence.
Okay. Okay. So definitely like something that wasn't around back in the day. Fair enough to say. Kind of a modern creation.
Yeah, okay. Somewhat of a modern. In that regard, yes. Yeah. And also, a lot of the time, people like to say, "Oh, the blade is the stick," but that's complete apples and oranges. In impact weapon versus an edge weapon, etc. I mean, you can get some basic skills from it, but if you've never actually used a sword blade or cut with it or done things with it, the stick's not going to give you a lot of that type of skill or subtlety per se.
Okay.
If that makes sense, hopefully.
Yeah. No. Yeah. No, it absolutely does. Just all right. So again, before we, I don't want to get into, but as a whole, I mean, again, before I go on to, not that I'm necessarily want to leave, Nene, is there anything else for the viewers that you could say about that particular style? And Nene, you definitely mentioned the bigger knife. When you say bigger, can you give us more on that? Like Bowie bigger as far as length is concerned?
Yeah, I would say about an 8 to 12 inch knife, an actual large knife for use in fighting, not like a balat or a pocket knife per se. An actual very, very, very large knife.
Yeah, right. Yeah, now 4-inch legal. Right, I got you. Yeah.
No. Something that you would carry as a military personnel or something. That was what Nene specialized in when it came to a knife.
Okay. Any particular? Is there a name for it in that system, or no?
Well, I'm going to now give everybody a little hint. So when you deal with grandmasters from the Philippines, knife technique is sword technique is knife technique. It's just that the knife is a smaller sword.
A smaller sword, right.
So there's a lot of overlap in methodology and technique.
Okay, right. Especially if you're getting to the larger knives. Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, Frank, thanks for jumping in. Anything else, far as like before I jump into stuff, as far as the system of Nene or anything you would like to share?
I would say everybody should go train with Grandmaster Nene because he is the real deal in that regard, and you will learn a great deal by engaging him in that regard.
Okay. I've heard nothing but wonderful things about him. I mean,
he's a man of few words, and I will put it bluntly, he's very distinct in what he says. He's very deadpan about it too, I might. So if you ask him a question, he will give you a blunt answer on everything.
All right, yeah, I have no issue with that. Cut to the chase. Yeah, again, I've heard nothing but wonderful things. I mean, like I've talked to David Gould about him, Tom Sotis, and they've all just had nothing but just, they said he's, just wonderful and nothing negative whatsoever. When our miserable situation here ends in the States, is he somebody you plan bringing back out?
Well, it's always difficult to have seminars, because especially now with momentum being lost and everything else, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. It's like this could be. I know we're in some definitely interesting times. I tell you, more ways than one. I know, absolutely. Just okay. I'm going to go into this. Just FMA as a whole. Because the only reason I'm asking this is because you've interviewed people before when you had FMA Talk, which we're going to get to.
Excellent. FMA Talk Live, everybody. Yes, I was one of the inane hosts of that show.
Yes, yeah, we're definitely going to get to that. So the reason I'm asking, normally I don't ask this question to other viewers unless they've covered other styles, or they have, unique. They've had a studied sense, and they put their homework per se into like history and different systems and all that. So I save this just for those people like that. But my next question is, again, this, I'm going to kind of put it out there in a generic way. So just, whatever comes to your mind, and we can kind of take off from there. What improvements can you see in what you're seeing as FMA shown today? Like, what improvements can be made for the new student coming in?
I think the first thing that needs to happen is we need to get away from a lot of the myth and the hearsay and the stories, because a lot of those they're hyperbole. They're not real. And we're doing we're doing the students a disservice by not giving the actual history of the art in the method in that regard. I think there needs to be more of that. I think we need to get rid of the my art is better than your art mentality that is because, okay, let's be honest, Eskrima is primarily a dueling art. So what happens is people then decide, well, I have to prove my art is more deadly or more dead by dueling. Well, it's completely irrelevant and unnecessary at this point. FMA is going through a transformation from like an individualistic self-defense dueling art to actually development into a martial art per se, where it's about self-development and developing yourself.
Yeah, it's bothersome. Yeah. I don't know if I like it.
Instead of polishing your ego, you should be polishing your technique and your method.
That's what the thing is, and I think, and I'm agreeing with everything you're saying, by the way. I don't, one of the things, social media, it's wonderful. It brings us closer, so forth and so on. But I don't know if it did us, such justice in the martial arts world where, we lost kind of, where it's not only lost in translation, but you could say watered down. And I think social media, internet, kind of took part in that. I have to say,
I would agree with you on that. And the other thing is, social media is neither social nor real media. So
not these days.
No, and the problem is what happens on social media is you have people who are like, I'm a true believer in X, whether it be martial art, politics, or conspiracy theory or whatever. And if you're not with us, you are the enemy and against us. That just sets up a false paradigm that doesn't mean anything. That
sounds like somebody we know.
Anyway. Pretty much. But the thing is that if I say something that people can, like, even now, if I say something that can be construed as negative against, let's say, the whole, Dekiti Tirsia, whatever, it's meaningless. What harm does it do to you to actually know the truth of something, or to understand that there's more than what you've been told? It just adds to the history of what you're doing.
No, I mean, that's no argument here.
I mean, if you're the truth, I don't know.
No, I agree with everything you touched on. I think there needs to be more truth. I definitely agree with you. It's gone from the art of self-defense, where it was used, you know, back in the day, for lack of a better way of putting it, to now where it's almost like who, you know, and I'm not saying this goes across the board, and I don't want to come across that way or have this get misconstrued in any way, but it's almost though when I tell you, and you see it on social media, it's like who knows the most drills or the vines off, you know, a particular technique, what have you. You know, they seem to be embellished, you know, and to, you know, demigod like, and again, I'm not saying this goes across the board, you know, but I don't know if that would be such a case if it wasn't for social media. I think social media provides a platform for this.
Yes.
And yeah, it's like, wow, did you see, you know, and you know, and if you look at it from a functional lens, you know, again, it can be very aesthetically pleasing what's going on, and there's a skill set in it. Don't get me wrong, you know, and I don't want to upset people here. There's definitely a skill set in looking good. I mean, you got to be on time, you got to be in rhythm, you got to be in cadence, you got to be in the moment. There's memorization onto it, absolutely. But coming from the functional perspective, it's like my fear is that new people coming up, they see this, they actually see, okay, well, this is FMA. I mean, this is what we do. You know, we remember these drills and we try to, you know, make more variations of them and what have you, without really understanding that doesn't mean that's going to translate or even come out or work. Worse yet, God forbid, you get attacked.
And it's not just, I'm going to be that honest. Now I'm going to allow, you know, kill a sacred cow really quick. It's not just social media that did this. It was some of the earlier grandmasters of Eskrima here in the United States that did that as well. They took a concept, because Eskrima is concept based, and they beat it to death to keep students on the hook to pay them money. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
They made it like more aesthetically pleasing. And I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
No. Okay, Eskrima is concept based. You could actually probably learn all the concepts of an Eskrima system in a weekend or in 24 hours or whatever. It won't mean that you're good at them. It won't mean you have any skill, because you actually have to fight with them. You have to actually polish them. You actually have to do them. So what happens here in the United States is all that hard work gets put into drilling, and the concept gets lost in the drilling, and people get lost in the drill set mindset, and they miss the concept, or they would never taught the concept. And that's
yeah, wow,
that's the sad part about it. And the problem is a lot of the, and I hate to say this, you know, grandmasters in the Philippines too will do this, because, you know, they don't want to teach their technique to just anybody, and they jealously guard what they have in that regard. And you know, if you are lucky enough to have a grandmaster to actually show you the concepts and shepherd you along, you have, as Nene will say, been given a gift by God.
Yeah, but everything you just touched on there, I feel like, in other words, here's what I've heard too, and I don't have his permission, so I'm not going to mention his name, but he said a lot of again, like a better way of putting it, some of the watering down for, you know, can also happen over there post World War II, when the Japanese schools introduced, you know, they were coming in, they had their bells, very structured curriculum, syllabuses,
well,
what have you.
They had to compete, and that's why modern arnis per se, because, you know, Remy decided that he was going to take arnis and he was going to martial arts it, because when he was up and coming, you know, people would get hurt training in Eskrima. Well, the problem is you got to work the next day to eat. So why in the world would I train this system where I might be in jeopardy of my job and getting hurt? And that's the flip side of it on in that regard.
No. I mean, which is a valid point. I mean, yeah, I mean, exactly. But, you know, like for instance, like the check in hand, the clicking, this, you know, hitting the sticks, as opposed to really refining, you know, targeting the hand and all that. You know, some said it, you know, it happened over there. Of course, the Western world took off with it and ran with it.
Well, a lot of it, I hate to say this, is, remember, FMA hit Hawaii, then it hit California, then it hit the rest of the country. And the thing
Correct.
is, you have a few pioneers that brought arnis and Eskrima around the United States. Now, I got to give Leo Gahe credit. He hit the East Coast before anybody else.
Oh no, that's 100%.
And then you also had Remy Parasis, and then later on, obviously, his brother. And then, of course, you had Guro John Asano, who popularized it. And the problem is, if you only have kind of like a limited snapshot of what it is, you will assume this is all there is to it, or this is all there is to it. Now, I'm here. I got to do a shout out to Master John Escudero of Lightning Scientific Arnis. Lightning is one of those arts that is finally hitting U.S. shores per se, and people are amazed by it because it's a heavy Alongo system that makes you work for it. You get pressure tested, you get pounded, you got to move, you got to take up space, you have to do technique, and that falls right into also how Nene's art works. It's pressure. If you can't handle the pressure, you will wilt, and the end. And then you have to balance that out with the drilling and the concept teaching and the commercial aspect of it. And it's not an easy thing.
No. And here's, the thing too is I want to touch upon what you said, because those men certainly deserve respect. And I've said that, I give Gahe full credit on the East Coast, because if you look at what came from that, Dog Brothers, the Atienzas, Seox, Bill McGrath, and all that. So 100%, I think, matter of fact, if it wasn't for for Leo Gahe coming to the East Coast, I think the East Coast would have even been set back. I mean, who knows how many years back, but I think we would have been set back further.
I concur.
Yeah.
I mean, they did not know what FMA was at all.
No. He formed the New York club there. I mean, no, he at 100%. I mean, he definitely deserves credit for that. Of course, the Remy Priestess 100%. Bringing over, and obviously, Guro Dan. I mean, 100%. But we got Gene Bray. We did cover the history of Dekiti Tirsia in the beginning. I'm not sure if you came late. If you did, it's in the beginning. But if you got any questions for me aftermath, let me know, and I can certainly send them to Guro John. Tom, hey, we're just mentioning your style. Thanks for jumping in. Tom Essens, actually, I think it's trained with John and all that. But that's a system, though, that you mentioned. I am so excited that it's finally, and I can't wait to cover this with Guru Tom, because I don't know anybody in the United States that teaches it, or let alone even practices it. Do you?
Oh yeah, Angela Garcia in Virginia.
That's a new one to me. Okay.
But the problem with Lightning is it's one of the last arts to make it here to the United States. And remember, even in the Philippines, most of the Eskrima teachers in the north were Visayan. Mung Ben was from Panay. The Prasis brothers were from Negros. You had the occasional Cañete up in Manila teaching as well. So a lot of these people also knew each other, and they also trained together. They also, played around and lifted technique from each other and whatever as well. But if you look at the way, and I'm not going to be controversial, but Mung Ben, his art is a classical Alongo system like Nene's. It's power orientated. It's don't get hit, don't be there, either disrupt or get out of the way. And if you can't, you learn from your mistakes and keep training and don't wilt.
Yeah.
I mentioned Lightning and John Escudero because he's actually a friend of mine. So.
Yeah, no, I just became friends with him recently through Guru Tom, who's on here, Tom Pena, and seems great guy, and all that. He's currently in Israel, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, John Escudero is teaching in Israel at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. And, yeah. Gene, yeah. Okay, if you were late, Gene, yeah, we did cover that a little in the beginning, so hopefully you can play it and see that. Julia says a couple. Yes, those guys as well in New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken, Julius, but you can correct me. His contemporaries as a whole movement came out of the East Coast thing. and all that. So just some recent comments and all that. But so then, all right, just going back, if we get off there, but hey, I mean, it's all good stuff, even though we got off. What else? Just again, like, from a generic lens, so to speak, any other things as far as improvements that that you would like to see happen, I guess, overall in FMA today?
I would say a lot better structure within curriculums of teachers, and to get away from the backyard mentality where I'm just going to teach whatever I feel like teaching today type of thing. That would help.
Okay.
Also, I would say a more push to make Eskrima equally martial art and also sport. Maybe even in the future, maybe even Olympic recognition, to be quite frank, as the national sport of the Philippines.
I think that it's been mentioned. I mean, if I'm not mistaken.
It's being pushed in the Philippines, but the problem is obviously, not to be sarcastic, but the Philippines is not the wealthiest nation in the world. In order to get a new Olympic sport, you have to spend a lot of money and bend heaven and earth.
Okay. Okay.
Remember, Taekwondo didn't become an Olympic sport until literally South Korea paid to have it as an exhibition sport in the Seoul Games. So
okay,
it's not a cheap exercise to have that.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I mean, it obviously makes sense. It's there's obviously a financial element to it. And all right, Julius has another comment. The only big prominent northern systems are long range, the Elcano Estelia. Okay.
Yeah.
And, what's that?
A lot of the northern methods in the Philippines, yes, they are largo mano methods. The only northern, I've only seen a couple. There's Pampangan methods as well. The only northern methods that I have seen, or the only northern method I've seen, is Harada Batangueño, and I had the honor of being shown that one time in a tournament many years ago. And yeah, it looks a great deal like Spanish fencing in its positioning and everything else. The difference is obviously you're using a smaller bolo, and you also are using the twine rope or the hemp rope to actually wrap somebody and pull them in and cut them down. And the baits are slightly different, et cetera, et cetera.
So
there's also ECD for journals is another northern style. There's a bunch of northern styles that are still alive.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not well known here in the United States because not a lot of Ilocanos or Tagalog folk or people from Luzon do Eskrima came here to the United States to actually, to teach it.
Right, mostly from the Visayan, right? I mean, which actually,
as a matter of fact, all of my teachers, I have to say this, were all Ilongo. Ronnie was Ilongo, Ernesto was Ilongo, Nene is Ilongo, and of course, John is, as a friend who's also, taught me some things as well, is also teaching an Ilongo system.
Okay.
So it's kind of kismet that you can see that, but a lot of the systems are here in the United States are Visayan methods of Eskrima in a generic.
Mostly, yeah. I mean, yeah.
So again, you'll get, Doce Perez is a Visayan system, Balintawak is a Visayan system, etc. Maranarese is actually based on Balintawak, which is a Cebuano system, not a Ilongo system.
Maranarese, okay, yeah, right.
That's a whole other kit and caboodle. But there are northern styles of Eskrima that are still alive and well, and they're out there, but they're hard to find.
Yeah, it's definitely matter of fact, Julius mentioned they didn't really start schools; they kept it in the family or family friends. Keep it in house. Yeah. So, anything else, as far as like what you would like to see overall, as far as improvement?
I think I've covered it all, but the real thing is I think we need a lot less hyperbole, a lot less threats, a lot less, politics, which is the big problem. Because if you look at, even though there are politics, say, in Taekwondo, or politics in Karate, or politics in other arts, people can come together in solidarity to actually promote it as a whole. In that regard, and everybody benefits.
I agree. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons for me doing this channel is not, obviously, not because I'm getting paid, because I'm not making a dime doing it. For one of the reasons is to bring not just more exposure and just because we're getting killed by some of the other arts, MMA, BJJ, and all that.
That's also why we started FMA Talk Live, because we've had. And by the way, I'll be releasing some of those podcasts through our blog on the website, and I'll pump that at the end of the show, obviously, to let everybody know where to go. We had some grandmasters on there that they're no longer alive. They're no longer with us. Who dropped some real close information about Eskrima. And sadly, Eskrima has actually had its heyday probably in the 90s. And like every other martial art, has been killed by the MMA surgeons and MMA.
I mean,
and everything else.
Just to cap on what you said, I thought those are excellent things you brought up, as far as things that we could do to like the things that are improving. But one thing is, man, we have to get this younger generation involved. We have to get the younger generation, because if we don't, our age. You know what I mean? And maybe we got some 30-year-olds, some 40-year-olds, generally speaking, in group classes that you see in pictures throughout the United States or what have you. But man, if we don't start getting teenagers and the 20-year-olds in 20 years, I think, and I don't want to be right. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but if we don't start getting like younger people into this, and right now, without a voice, without infomercials. I mean, you can go into an average housewife and mention a couple top UFC fighters, they'll know about them. You mention anybody in FMA, or FMA, just period.
Well, one of the things, and I agree with you on this. The thing about FMA is the other problem is that we have like 4 different names for FMA. We have FMA, we have FMA, we have Kali, we have this, we have that, and the problem is that nobody understands the distinctions. Nobody understands what FMA is. And the good news is, in the Philippines, FMA is going through kind of a renaissance, kind of a resurgence. There's a lot of people training FMA in the Philippines. Here in the United States,
that's wonderful here.
Not so much, unfortunately, sadly.
Yeah.
And the other
is this recent? Here, I just want to back up a bit. Has this been a recent transcending event? I mean, as far as the resurgence?
I'd say that's been happening for the last 5 to 7 years in the Philippines.
The reason I say that, because I remember like 10 years ago or something, and I'm again, don't quote me on this. It's just something I read. I'm not even sure how accurate it is, but they were saying Taekwondo and basketball were more popular than the indigenous arts. And
back then, yes, but now it's that there's been
a change. I think it's great to hear. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, if you look at the popularity of things like, let's say, HEMA, okay, not to bring them up, but you have living systems of swordsmanship and weaponry usage here that are fairly unbroken lineages of real technique that have been used in combat or were used by their grandmasters to defend themselves. So these are real fencing methods, per se, versus trying to reconstruct something out of a manual or something. I mean, come on, man. We've got a real deal. We need to actually market that to people and let people know we have a real system of swordsmanship.
I know, and it's not. I'm telling you. I think that everything you mentioned and getting our youth. I'm not saying I have all the answers. I just know if you don't keep it going with younger generations, it's going to die out. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, how many systems already? And I have no idea of this. I'm just speaking out loud. Like, I'm sure there's systems over in the Philippines that perhaps have died out that nobody has known about, or maybe there was a family system, or it didn't get perpetuated, or you know what I mean, or what have you.
These things happen. And also, I'd like to point this out too, and this is going to sound kind of cruel, but you also have some grandmasters, they just don't want to pass it on.
Just that secrecy, and nobody else.
They want to keep it very close to the vest.
Yeah,
they want to take it with them, and that's a cultural problem in that regard.
Yeah. Hopefully, but I tell you, I'm very glad to hear though that it's becoming popular over there. I think that, I mean, that's fantastic. That's I wasn't aware of that. That's great to hear. Thank you. I thought that was excellent what you wanted to. So let's get that was great stuff. I want to now again. Before I was around and all that, which I definitely listened to a couple episodes, I found it great. You were part of the FMA Talk. Can you just tell us, before we get into what happened in the shows and all that, when did it form and why?
Well, it was myself, Mark Basil, and Federico Malabago. And we formed this because, quite frankly, there was no real talk about FMA when we started this. There was nothing like that. So we decided, hey, let's just try to do something, anything to bring grandmasters on to talk about their styles and promote FMA in a generic sense before it begins to die out here in the United States, which was already doing at that time period. And so we decided to start the show. We set it up, and surprisingly, we had a lot of people who were interested in being on the show. And a lot of thankfully for Facebook, we were able to reach out to a lot of masters and grandmasters, and they were happy to come on and talk about their styles. And we ran for about three odd years straight.
Yeah, I know there's a couple at least, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we actually going from once a week to once a month, unfortunately, in our shows, because we were beginning to run out of people to interview. But
so you're going once a week, okay? And just some. I mean, I obviously know some people, but just for the viewers, what are some of the notable names you had on there?
Tony Diego was one of the bigger names we had.
That was a good one.
We've had Tim Hartman on. We've had, let me think. There many. I mean, my brain. I'm sorry.
David Gould one was, I thought, was gold. That was.
We had David Gould on. We've had a lot of people on the show.
Yeah. No, yeah. But 3 years. I mean, obviously, you guys had to have like 50 people on there or so, right? I mean, thereabouts.
25 people on there. We have 125 votes.
125. So now you guys have all that kind of cataloged and what have you?
Yes, and I'm going to be re-releasing those through my blog, through my website.
Oh, I can't wait. That'd be fantastic. Yeah, make sure you tag me because I'll share it over here for sure. I mean, people would love, including myself. I mean, I listened to a few of them. I didn't realize you guys had 135. Wow. I would have never guessed that.
That was a lot of shows. And a lot of banter, a lot of goofiness, but in between a lot of gems about, training with people like, Edgar Saluti, obviously David Gould, and other folks as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's so all right, you kind of alluded to it already. So you're like 3 years in, and you just couldn't get people that wanted to come on.
Yep, it was getting harder and harder and harder to have people. We had run through a lot of people, believe it or not.
So okay. So was it just was it a matter of, as far as people like pulling from, or was there also perhaps some disinterest from people wanting to be interviewed, or a combination of both?
Well, it was a combination of, we're not making any money doing it. We're doing it out of love, and that's exhausting.
Join the club. I tell people, man, I'm not making a dime from this. And you know what people don't understand? Sometimes it takes me longer to do the pre-setup, make sure, they're compatible, that can actually bring them on, then the aftermath, getting on YouTube and all that, then sometimes in the actual interview. So yeah, it's work, man. It's work.
And we had a pre-show warm-up. We had an after talk after the show. I wish we had recorded those, because some of those were even more distinct.
Some of the best stuff.
Where they would let, like if you had recorded our pre-show thing, that'd be the end of the universe.
I know. That's some like the best stuff. I know.
Like all the bodies are buried here.
Oh, yeah. Yes. We just can't tell you yet. But in 10 years, we can release it.
Yeah. All the secrets of Eskrima you've ever wanted to know, or your money back. That's right. Double your IQ and money back. We have all the secrets. You mean other than hard work and actually doing it? No.
I'm telling you, I do, because I was doing it once a week. We got hit by the COVID. So I wasn't teaching, wasn't training them. And so I'm like just sitting there like, so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start doing them twice a week. And I'm up to, You Tonight is number 42, where I would be in the 20s still if I wasn't doing twice a week with this coming around. But I tell you, man, it's work. You know what I mean? You're setting stuff up.
And here's the thing, being a host of a show and trying to actually ask relevant questions of somebody is difficult, especially somebody you've just met or you don't know. Yeah. You offend them with a question that might give them. And I got to be. You're doing very well. You're asking a lot of softballs, which are really helpful.
Yeah,
I would say go for it.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. This is why I do like the pre-interviews, so I can kind of get a feel, and all that. Because you're right though. Because if you just go on cold without knowing a person, especially in FMA, man, you can open up a hornet's nest real quick. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. So we actually learned that the hard way sometimes, I might add. Like, whoa, okay, we got backed off. Strange things would happen or what have you. And the problem is that, there's also the United States, we are a very blunt culture. Yeah. In the Philippines, everybody's passive-aggressive and beats around the bush. So you have that problem sometimes too, which has happened, and it happens. It's a cultural disconnect sometimes.
Yeah.
Cultural misunderstanding, and doing a show is not easy. And I think people who are watching the show right now should appreciate the fact that FMA is now. It had its heyday. It's on a decline. It might rebound. The pendulum might swing, but young people involved, and this is one way to do it because I hate to say this, all the kids are on YouTube and social media and everything else.
Yeah.
I never thought I would be so old to say all the kids. I'm now dating myself. Oh my God, I'm like that old man on the corner. But
I know.
But doing the show,
I know. You're absolutely right, though. I mean, it's right. I mean, there was a heyday, 80s, going to the 90s,
mid-90s,
UFC around,
and the thing is,
and all that. But
when we did the show, it was always difficult to, we had to be careful because, again, there's always politics, there was always problems, and this is going back to when you asked me, how would you improve FMA today? And again, I'll stick to my guns on the last answers on that. But I give you a lot of credit for having a show right now because it cannot be easy at all.
It's not. I tell you, I tell you, but here's the really interesting thing though. Besides, being work, and I do it for the love, obviously, and all that. But I tell you, it's been really interesting to know the different camps. You think the people in your systems, all that, and then you start interviewing people, and the stuff I'm finding out about people or systems. So it's been an interesting ride up to this point because I tell you, it's not always the way that it appears, or what you think. So. You know what I mean? Like a couple of people that I thought were and then you find out from other people, and it's just but overall though, it's been very enjoyable. Matter of fact, since doing this, met some incredible people like Tom, John that you mentioned, Julius here. Just really proactive people who are supportive behind it. Gene Bray. So I mean, there's definitely obviously. The positives significantly outweigh, what I'm doing and all that. And I tell you, luckily I haven't, knock on wood, because I don't want to jinx myself, but I haven't received any backlash. I haven't received any nasty, again, knock on wood, So, but, Juice, it was kind of funny. They're like that because they're afraid to get shanked. They're the reason why they're passive aggressive over there.
Yeah. Well, they don't want to. They don't want to lose face.
Yeah. Okay.
They don't want to. Yeah. I mean, that's how.
So getting back to the point. All right. So at the end there, you guys, like, collectively, you guys kind of just agreed that you kind of threw in the towel?
Yeah, we pretty much gave up. FMA defeated us.
That's sad.
We didn't defeat FMA.
I know. No, I know, and it's disturbing because Steve Dowd went through the same thing with FMA. What was the monthly thing he was doing there? FMA, the Steve Dowd Digest.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember him 2 years, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, putting messages out, hey, look, if nobody sends anything in, and I'm like, I couldn't believe it, because I had sent a couple things in just to keep it going, and I couldn't believe that. I'm like, wow, nobody is like doing anything. I mean, he's come back, he's doing something again now, I mean, which is great, but yeah, if we don't get something going, this is so now I know you're planning on releasing something and all that. Any thanks, Julie. Yeah, digest. Any word possibility that you guys might regroup or something? Get the band back together?
It isn't like we don't talk or anything, or occasionally train together.
They're in Chicago, right? You're talking about the Baja chapter, right?
They're in Minneapolis.
But that's a chapter, the Baja Cebu chapter, Midwestern chapter?
Yep, that's them. They're actually North America now. They're not Midwestern anymore. They're it. So they're up in Minneapolis.
Oh, they're it. Okay. They're it.
They're in the big league.
Yeah.
And I'd also like to say that we also have on my website, for those of you interested, can I actually begin to talk about this a little bit now and hopefully get people's attention? Is schoolofarmsmedia.com. We have Baja Cebu Concepts on there as a video for sale, and also Yuli Romo's Move or Die, with a whole boatload of video of Yuli Romo and the guys actually teaching Baja Cebu methodology.
All right, where can this be accessed again?
schoolofarmsmedia.com.
All right, so as long as they go there, they can access all this, because I'm definitely going to put this in the comments.
School of Arms Media, please call me.
Now, are they playing bringing? Yeah, no, definitely part of that. I have no issues at all. Are they planning bringing? Is there plans when this miserable situation ends? Are they planning to bring him out?
Over? The problem is, that another thing is bringing people from the Philippines to teach seminars can be a problem with visas. That's right. Not as easy as you think. So I don't know if that will happen or not. They've been trying to do that for years.
Yes. Okay, because I mean that would make sense, right? I mean, why would they? Julius, hey Julius, yes, I did. Yes, I spoke to Steve before in the past and all that. Yeah, he gave up. Matter of fact, Julius, I just reached out to him today via Messenger, and he said he didn't have a setup to do an interview and all that. But yeah, he would have been great to get on for sure. Definitely a pioneer, and obviously deserves a world of respect for what he's done and all that. But yeah, I did reach out to him. I'm sorry, but yeah, I mean, because I'm wondering, like, because I knew about these guys and I knew you were affiliated with them. And I'm thinking, like, why haven't they brought them out? You know. But yeah, obviously that visa,
that's
makes sense.
The visa issues, yes. And the other thing is that I played Baja Cebu and kickball for the guys up in Minneapolis for many years, and you also then get a feel. I'm going to pivot back to Eskrima just a little bit. Is that you can't? It's almost impossible to mix KI with any Alongo system like DTS because of the positioning. It's just completely different. You would.
I'm sorry. They make KI with.
One or the other. With Tortal's art.
I'm saying it's I just want just so everybody understands. It makes KI with what now?
With Tortal's art with DTS. So if you look at the way KI moves and everything else, I can only do, or Bahad Zabu, I can only do Bahad Zabu like they do Bahad Zabu. I can't mix it with the Longo styles because they're just so different in their mechanic and what they're doing.
No, yeah, I got you. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there. Like you see Tapato, and Yuli's system there. It's pretty. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's interesting for sure.
Well, actually, what he really does, I'm not really, but he does what he calls the bio stick. You know, the Blintwak International Organization stick. That would be his long stick. But yeah, it's very interesting. But getting the band back together, I mean, we all talk, we all play around together and stuff. And they actually had me out recently for a seminar to teach Piper, which was actually a lot of fun up in Minneapolis.
Oh, yeah, right. The Piper system.
But, which is another system I do for, and you can also find those videos on our website as well. But
yeah. I mean, you know, I'm getting Lloyd eventually on here.
But for actually doing the podcast, we had Lloyd on the podcast, by the way, too, just in case, if you just as a side note, just as a comparison. But
you guys have done one?
Oh yeah, we on FMA Talk Live, we had Lloyd come on to dispel the myths that Piper is an FMA system, or just to.
I didn't know that. I definitely got to catch that one. Oh my gosh, where can that be? Where's that accessible?
I think it's archive.org, or you can check out FMA Talk Live at my goodness, I'm having a brain cramp right now. You can probably find it on our. You can probably find it on iTunes or Stitcher as well if you look around.
iTunes. FMA Talk Archives.
It would be archive.org, which is where all the podcasts are archived.
.org. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. I mean, I'll try to. I would love that sounds interesting. I mean, I'm going to be all right, let me see here. All right, I'm going to leave school, getting ready to close out, schoolofarmsmedia.com. Is there anything else for our social media you would like to leave for the viewers?
There's my YouTube channel, Blade Files. F-I-L. Yep. Like the X-Files with Blade. And of course, School of Arms at School of Arms on Facebook. If everybody would go there and like it and subscribe and everything. Sometimes I actually throw out some wisdom on that on rare occasion. And also we're on Instagram as The School of Arms and Twitter is The School of Arms, etc. If you could find us. Please follow and subscribe. And of course, School of Arms Media, sign up for our newsletter and what have you. And please check it out.
No, I definitely put that down. Absolutely. And I just want to see. Yeah, Julius, I'll reach out to him again. I don't know if he was just maybe off today or something, but yeah, definitely. But no, I want to thank you. This was excellent. I'm definitely going to have you back because maybe the second one I would like really to focus on just history, maybe over there, maybe in the different regions. I love hearing anything on the Moros, of course, and all that. So yeah, so obviously if you have the interest, definitely bring you back.
And just as a sneak peek for everybody, the United States has a long history with the Philippines that we've all forgotten. So
yeah, and hopefully it stays that way, and good for the good,
For the good, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Julius, I know. Like we were talking all the time, and then I would ask him about his father, and then today it just seemed, I don't know, just seemed odd today. It could have been just me, maybe, but I don't know. But yeah. So again, I want to thank you. This is fantastic. Any closing thoughts you got for us? No.
Just don't buy into politics. Don't buy into hyperbole, and train hard.
Here's the thing, man. Here's the thing, and you know this in our lower private talk. If you can deal with the politics and some of the systems that we talked about, you know, then you can deal with any of it.
Amen. You will be very emotionally and psychologically tough.
We could have T-shirts made. I did this. I could do anything.
Yeah, amen. I do FMA. I've survived FMA politics unscathed.
I could do anything.
I can do anything.
Yeah, I know. But again, I appreciate it. I actually learned some great stuff talking to you, and I really look forward to I'll get you on because I'm a history kind of buff. I enjoy the history of stuff like the tribes, the origins, the weapons, just as much as actually the physical systems and tactics and techniques and all that. So I'm looking forward to that personally to hear from you on some of that stuff. So
well, I have distinct opinions on that too, so it'll be entertaining.
Oh, good. I like distinct opinions. Good.
So it'll be fun. It'll be fun. But
yeah.
Thank you very much. This has been a blast. This has been a good time. And everybody that watched, thank you very much for tuning in because all of you have come. You're a rare breed. You do FMA. Dear God, we're dying out. So pass the word to Dean's channel and please come back for whatever he's doing.
Yeah, thank you. Because we got to grow this collectively. You know what I mean? We're not. I try to tell people that, like, it's not. It takes all of us. You know what I mean? It takes all of us to support one another, and this is why I make a point to do all different systems, just so that collectively, like I just don't focus on KI or Avenir. I mean, are you kidding me? I try to get all of them, so everybody, just to show that I'm tagged. I'm like targeting everybody to bring everybody in. You know what I mean? It's not about like favoritism or anything like that. I mean, I covered Minor Niece. I covered you and Tortal, KI. I'm going to get Tom Payne on there for the lightning, and so yeah, I'm definitely spreading the wealth. I just got to get everybody together.
That's the hardest part, is getting everybody on to talk about what they're doing.
Yeah, it's I'm telling you, it's been
that's what you need. You need a scheduler.
It's been interesting. You know what I mean?
I can imagine. I was in the shoes. I can imagine.
Yeah, 100%. But I want to thank you so much, Guro John, and we'll definitely we'll be having you back for sure.
I appreciate it, and like I said, I'm always open to any questions from anybody. If they want to ask, I'm more than happy to answer them for folks.
Absolutely. But all right, sir. Well, you have yourself a good night, and we'll be in touch.
You too, sir. Take care, and everybody else, thank you for tuning in. And it was a blast. Thank you.
Absolutely. Be good. Be safe.
All right. Cheers. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Take care.
Right. Good night, everybody.
All right. That was great. Wow. Okay. Thursday. Who have up next? Actually, should know this because I was just messaging him. Tom Pena. He's actually the UK, and we're going to be covering the scientific system lightning there, which I'm actually really interested because don't know a lot about it. Maestro Giacano gave us, when he was on there, he touched upon it and all that, but still know very little. And matter of fact, I just found out tonight, I guess there's somebody in Virginia who's doing, I didn't know there was even somebody in the United States that was even teaching it for that matter. So that'll be kind of neat to get more on that system again. Definitely not a popular one there, it's not, like in the US, just, again, it sounds like there's one person in Virginia who's currently teaching it. So that should be fun. So that's going to be Thursday at 7. So I will definitely, that'll be out. Again, I'll have usually the flyer probably by, if not late tonight, definitely by tomorrow morning. So you guys will see that coming up, and you guys will be able, but it'll be like the same time, Thursday. And again, I want to thank all of you for tuning in. If you haven't already, please hit like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's how I'm going to grow our group and all that. So hopefully, again, we can grow ourselves and all that. Julius, yeah, that would be. Oh my gosh, yeah, Burton did some time. I would love to. Bert, that would be great. And yeah, thank you. It was awesome. John laid some great stuff down. But all right, guys, until Thursday, take care. If you have any questions, please just PM me. And again, if you have not already, hit like and subscribe to FMA Discussion on YouTube. And I'll see you all Thursday. Take care.